mad at me and I was ruined in Hollywood. Bloggers that lived in like Kansas, no connection to Hollywood whatsoever, and they talk about Hollywood as if Hollywood is a dude, like Mr. Hollywood. And I pissed off Mr. Hollywood, or as Ralph Garman says, the vice president of Hollywood or something like that. And meanwhile, I wasn't making anybody mad. You know, I was sitting there going like, hey, I'm gonna take my movie out myself because I don't have enough confidence in the flick to do well under the marketing system the way it is. It can't flourish under your system, meaning theirs. Like that was the thing. I got into the indie film world at a time when indie film was being co-opted by the studios. Miramax was bought by Disney. It's the only reason I stand before you is because Harvey Weinstein, years ago when Miramax was bought by Disney, was very sensitive to a few stories that showed up in the press. And mind you, there was no internet then. This is talking about newspapers and magazines. Started showing up at the trades criticizing that sale because they were like, now all the fucking cool movies Miramax ever made, they're never going to make them again because they're owned by the fucking mouse. Say goodbye to the Crying Game, say goodbye to the piano, shit like that. They're hard edge, they're fucking what they're brilliant at, they're not going to be allowed to do anymore under corporate ownership. And so Harvey Weinstein bristled at that. And it was Sundance 1994, and he was like, let me see, I want to buy the fucking meanest, dirtiest American independent film I can. And that was us, that was Clerks, you know? He was just like, what a great message to send to everybody that like, we're not fucking going to be controlled by Mickey Mouse by buying the fucking movie that talks, you know, that shows the dead guy getting fucked in the bathroom. Well, it doesn't show it, but sure talks about it. And so they did, they picked up Clerks, and I benefited from that. Big bad fucking lion shit. But the problem is I was brought into a world where once Disney absorbed Miramax, Miramax started spending the Disney money coffers. So there was no more kind of like, let's see how we can market this inexpensively. With Clerks, Harvey sent us out everywhere. Grassroots campaign, man. I just went everywhere with that movie and shit. Talked to colleges, talked to public screenings and shit like that. Laid the groundwork for the theatrical release, which was never going to be more than 50 screens ever. It wasn't a huge fucking release, but you know, we were down in the dirt doing it, you know, taking the flick from place to place. As years went on, they had all those big Disney coffers, and they just started spending, buying commercials the same way that like, you know, Green Lantern would buy commercials. It was a studio effort. And it makes sense when they do it, because when you make Tron for $200 million or Tron Legacy, you better spend $100 million fucking selling that movie, or else your corporate investors or your shareholders are gonna be fucking pissed and like, what's going on there? So that makes sense for them, but it don't make sense for you to make a weird fucking twisted little movie like that, or some very personal film that isn't gonna hold up to like mainstream scrutiny, or it would be ridiculous to spend mass marketing money on and stuff. Like, things have changed in the entertainment field, and those of us who make those mid-range, weird little movies don't have a home anymore like we did back in the day. Miramax was sold off by Disney, and they instead bought Marvel. And that tells you a story right there, like, fuck independent films, we want fucking Iron Man, bitch! You know, I get it. I want Iron Man too. But it leaves people like me with no home whatsoever. So it was a good time. Into that moment in time came this notion of like, let's take a movie out ourselves because it would be fun. And it has been. This recharges the batteries, man. It's awesome watching the movie with an audience. Like every night we went out on tour, even now, it's like a fucking rock concert. You know, you show the movie and fucking people are like, woo! And then afterwards you do a Q&A and you have a good time. And we've been on a serious stretch in the Q&A for a few minutes, but generally speaking, it's a good time with some fucking lines and shit like that. And I mean, everyone, I can't say everyone because I don't check or double check with everyone after they left, but I would say, shit, 95% of the people leave here having the time of their life, a singular memory of something like, oh, that will never happen again. And I go home and I just feel young. Even though I'm 41, I walk off the stage and I feel like I'm fucking the same 22, 23-year-old kid who was like, wouldn't it be funny if we shot this movie in black and white where, you know, fucking this chick sucked 37 dicks. And that's what becomes more valuable to you in life as you get older and stuff. The ability to kind of go back to something a little more innocent. You know, the older one gets, the more complicated life gets, and the less fun it can tend to be. And for me, it was really important to dial that back because my job, I don't have a traditional job. I've got, my job is to get paid to make pretend for a living. And if I'm too adult, I'm not making pretend very well at all. So a couple of years ago, I started smoking weed regularly. That'll turn you into a 20-year-old just like that. big like commercial for fucking weed. Now people feel the way they feel about it, and I'm gonna tell you this. At age 38, I started smoking weed on a regular basis, and since then, everything that's happened in life has been good except for that Southwest thing. Other than that, everything was really cool. And weed for me, I don't know how it works on most people, but made me really productive because I was like, you know what? If I'm going to smoke this, I have to work constantly because otherwise, you start smoking, you start watching TV, and people are like, you're a fucking burnout. So I didn't want to get anyone in the room to call me a burnout, so I was like, anytime I smoke, I'll do something fucking creative. So I smoke and I write. I smoke and I cut a podcast, or record a podcast, or edit a film, or something like that. So it came along at the right time in my life where suddenly I was like, you know what, I think it'd be much more fun rather than be the guy I've been for the last few years, to be the guy I was, an artist. You know, when I made Clerks, I was an artist, man. I was an art film. I wasn't a guy going like, I got a whole career in mind, a View Askew universe and shit like that. That came later. I made that movie because I couldn't not make that movie. I saw Richard Linklater's film Slacker on my 21st birthday at the Angelica Film Center. And I saw it, and it was a transforming experience. I was like, oh my God, if this counts as film, I want to be a filmmaker. And you know, I didn't mean that in an insulting way. It just seemed possible. Slacker is one of those films that you watch it and you go like, this seems doable. Like, there's nobody famous in here. There's no complicated plot. Like, if this counts as a film, I think I would like to make a film. It's a very empowering film to watch, at least it was for me. The nice thing, or the ironic thing, was Clerks became that for other people. You know, I made Clerks, and now people come up to me and go like, your film made me want to be a filmmaker, which I know is a very nice way of saying your movie looks like shit. And I figure if you can do it, scoop it out.